Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. Saratham Patak. I'm Sarah of Expat in Croatia, and this is 5-Question Friday without a voice. Every Friday at 5 o'clock Croatia time. Oh my goodness gracious, this is so much worse than I thought it was going to be. Oh, oh, that's better. Okay, great. Hi. So every Friday at 5 o'clock Croatia time, answer 5 questions from people who have sent them in on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, expatinCroatia.com, our consulting sessions, email, and people who pop out of a cake and scream them out at us. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is a pretty big episode. I have a big announcement to make today, so I want to go ahead and get right into it. So I've been doing 5-Question Friday for 5 years. It started in the end of 2020, I want to say. And this is episode 196, which is pretty bonkers. And in 1 month from today, exactly, we're going to hit our 200th episode, which I cannot quite believe, honestly. And I guess it was nearly 2 years ago, we had our 100th episode where we had, I think, 7 or 8 fans of 5-Question Friday who all joined in live from across Europe, across Croatia, from the US as well, to all come and celebrate with me. But now it's the 200th episode. And in thinking about how we wanted to celebrate this, there was something that kind of cropped up, and that was, this is going to be the last episode of 5-Question Friday. It has been 5 years, and one of the challenges of doing a live show every week is that you've got to do it every Friday, rain or shine, sickness or in health, always. And the reason that I started doing this at the beginning in 2020 was because I wanted to be able to connect with you. And this was a way that I could do that. I could really connect with more people than I ever could. And when I first started, I never could have imagined that it was going to turn into what it did. I never imagined it was going to go for 5 years. I never imagined that I was going to run into people all over Croatia who watch it, faithfully and, stop me and say, hey, I love this show so much. Thank you so much for doing it. I never anticipated that. I also never anticipated that someone else was going to join me in doing that, and that's Cam. And Cam has been doing it once a month with me for since last fall. And it's been a real joy to share this with all of you, to share this with Cam. And we wanted to really recognize how big of a deal 200 episodes was, and also recognize how big of a thing it is, just period, to go on for 5 years to do a live program like this. And it's all because of you, really. It's because you have watched, because you are here during the live every Friday. It's because you watch on the replay every week. You ask questions, you're here, you root us on. Like, we're doing this because of you. So, to honor the 200th episode, and I have to take a sip of this chai od kadulje that was prescribed by my doctor, which is sage tea, and it's pretty not nice at all. To honor the 200th episode, we are going to have a party here in Split, and you are all invited. So on July 18th, 4 weeks from today, we are going to have a big party in Split, and we really hope you can be there. Maybe you already live in Split, or you're in the Split area, or maybe you want to travel to come to this. We would be more than happy to have you. I'm going to be there. Cam's going to be there. Our socials lady, Neve, is going to be there. Our editor-in-chief, Maria, is going to be there. A few other members of the Expat in Croatia team are going to be there. And we are going to throw a big party. There's going to be food and drink and music. And there's only a certain number of spots available for this party. So if you would like to join us, go to expatincroatia.com/RSVP. and you can request your spot now. You are the very first people to hear about this, because we wanted to make sure that the most hardcore 5 Question Friday fans were the first to know about it, and that is you. So if you want to join us, go ahead and pop over there. We are going to put a post in our feed later today, and then everybody's going to know about it. But for right now, you have the first opportunity to grab your spot for that party. So it is a bittersweet event for sure. And I know as it draws closer, the reality is going to start to set in. And I'm pretty sure at the party, I will cry. But we will do the last episode live from there. So even if you can't be here in Split in person for the party, you can join in by seeing and watching live for the final episode. Now, I want to address I want to address this because, like I said a few minutes ago, the reason that we started this was to connect with all of you, but we also wanted to give a way for you to ask questions. You know, we do consulting, obviously, but sometimes you just have one question and you just want to know the answer to that. And that's why we created this kind of channel. So we want you to know that even after 5 Question Friday ends, you're still going to have that opportunity. So 5 Question Friday is going to morph into EIC Q&A. You can submit questions just the same way that you always have. The only difference, instead of a weekly live program, we're going to be answering those questions and they'll be published in our feed for you. So we're not going to leave you hanging. We're still always going to be here. We still want to connect with you. We're just going to do it a little bit differently. So I knew there was going to be ended somehow at some point. I just didn't know when. But in talking about this 200th episode, it seemed like a really natural conclusion. So that is the big news. Yes, we're ending the episodes. July 18th will be the 200th and final episode of this live program. So thank you for being here, for being such loyal fans of this program. It's meant so much to me. Words can't express that. So thank you. If you can't tell, I'm a bit under the weather, and that's one of those downfalls of live TV, is that you got to do it even if you're sick. So yeah. And I was going to be outside, and then the second I walked out the door, it started pouring rain. And that is another one of the things you have to keep in mind when you're doing live stuff. So that's it. That's the big announcement. So again, if you want to join us, go to expatinCroatia.com/RSVP, and we cannot wait to meet you in person. So without further ado, let's get into the questions for this week. And I want to say hi to a few people that I see coming in. Mary Ellen, I'm so glad you're here. Catherine, of course, Nora, Aladar, Reddy, Faith, Anna, Maxie, Martin, Kimberly, Nana, Arrow, Kathy Klitz, Terry's here, Juan, Isabella, Neve. Thank you all so much for being here. So let's get to our first question, shall we? All right. So this first question comes from Laura on the 5 Question Friday forum. Where in Split can I please donate my preloved, no longer wanted clothing and shoes? This is a wonderful question because I've been wondering the same thing. It's been really difficult for us to find any place to donate used clothes in Split. So this is what we have for you. There are boxes in the parking lots of the Mall of Split and City Center 1 where you can drop your used clothes and shoes. Those will be recycled. We did contact a few of the different nonprofits in the area, including Caritas, Red Cross, and Udruga Most, who works with homeless people. And they all said that they don't take this stuff. They don't have room for it, which is disappointing. But right now, that's the availability you have. Now, if you're in Zagreb, I have a really great recommendation for you. In front of IKEA, there is a big green container and it'll say Humana Nova on it. Humana Nova is a social enterprise that hires a bunch of people from the community with disabilities. And what they do is they will take all of your clothes and they will recycle them and turn them into new cloth and material to make really good high quality clothes. In fact, when I drive to Zagreb, that is where I prefer to drop off my used clothes. So if you're in Zagreb, I would highly suggest that that's where you drop your stuff off. Now, as with everything, we always have resources that we can share with you. And to get the resources I'm going to mention in this episode, if you are on YouTube, you can find them in the description below. If you're on Instagram, send us a DM. If you are on any other channel, drop a comment and we will send it over to you. So for this question, we can send you a link to Humana Nova. They're wonderful and they've got really great high quality clothes. I have a hoodie of theirs that I love. I'm so impressed with how good the material is. And you can also read up about their organization as well. The next question comes from Lena here on Instagram. I currently have a temporary residence in Croatia, but my car is registered in Slovakia. I've learned that there might be certain obligations after the vehicle is used on Croatian territory for more than 6 months. Specifically, I'm trying to understand whether I qualify for the registration exemption for EU citizens who are temporarily using a car registered in another member state. Ugh, that's horrible. If you have temporary residence in Croatia and you're driving a Slovak registered car or a car that's registered in some other EU member state for more than 6 months, you might need to pay a flat tax called paušalni porez, or register the car, unless you qualify for an exemption. Customs could treat it as illegal use and issue a fine if you do not. The exemption applies if the car is primarily used outside of Croatia and you work or have a business in another EU country. However, you need to notify Croatian customs by email before bringing the car into Croatia. Then, within 5 days of that notification, you must submit the full exemption application to your local customs office. This might require leaving the country first. So if you're living here in Croatia, using your car full time here, you have to register it in Croatia and formally import it. So few resources we have here. One is from the customs office on the usage of a car registered in another EU member state. Then we have 2 guides from our site, how to import a car, how to register a car. All right, before I get into the next question, I just want to say hi to everybody who's joined. Mark, Ram, Betty, Marcus, Marianne, Brian, Natasha, Tamara, I see you. Yellow 26, Outlook Accounting Taxes, who is a very old fan. Thank you so much for being here today. And please pardon me for my terrible voice. I have COVID for the 4th time. So next question comes from Catherine on the 5-question Friday forum. I've applied for language scholarship through the Ministry of Demography and Immigration, for which 500 are being awarded globally with the start date of end of September. Applications closed on May 8th. Would you know when the ministry is expected to advise the successful applications or publish the list, or even a little bit more how the process works to announce this? I'm just so excited about it and I hope I'm successful. I hope you are too. Fingers crossed. So the ministry is offering scholarships for Croatian language courses for Croatian immigrants, their descendants, and spouses. This is the 2nd year that they have offered this. So if you didn't get your application in this year, you could send it in next year. These scholarships aim to help recipients integrate into Croatian life and strengthen their cultural identity. The courses are offered by the Faculty of Philosophy in Zagreb, Split, Rijeka, Osijek, Pula, and the University of Zadar. The scholarship covers course fees, subsidized meals, a monthly allowance of €400, and a subsidized accommodation in student dormitory. So it's a quite robust scholarship. About the results. Last year, the results were announced a month after the deadline in early August. Given that this year's deadline was moved 2 months earlier, we can expect the ministry to announce results sooner, following an 8-day period for objections to the ranking list. Candidates will be notified of the final decision and the next steps for scholarship agreement. You can also contact them directly, but speaking as someone who recently submitted a grant application to them, they're just going to announce it online. There's really not a good reason to crawl up their butt about it. So there is a page where they're going to publish this. It is on their website, and we have that link. Just contact us and we'll get that to you, okay? The next question comes from Alex on the 5-question Friday form. Ooh, maybe I'm going to switch over to lemon and ginger and honey. Ooh, that's better. Look at that. Ooh. I have citizenship and my husband is waiting, currently 3 years and counting. I've emailed MUP and have no response. The question is, if I pass away during the application process, does he still become a citizen? The reason I ask is as a cancer patient in remission, I'm aware that my time could be limited. Hope it will not be, but you never know. I hope it won't be either. But this is a really natural question to ask, and I'm really glad that you asked it. So when a spouse is applying for citizenship based on their spouse, the spouse must be alive for them to qualify. So in this case, if you pass away during the process of your husband obtaining citizenship and MUP doesn't know, then he will likely be granted citizenship anyways. That being said, if MUP were to find out that you passed away and your husband didn't notify them, there's always the risk that omission could impact him. So I did vet this with a lawyer and they said the exact same thing. Now, based on that, I have spoken to 24 people who asked if they could qualify for citizenship because their spouse was a Croatian, but their spouse had passed away. And in all these cases, they qualified to apply for citizenship for years and years and years, and they never did it. If you qualify for citizenship, either through your spouse or an ancestor, do it now. Do not wait. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know if your spouse is going to die. You don't know if the laws are going to change. So you should always do it if you have the opportunity. There is no reason that you should wait. None. Because you never know what's going to happen later. We have a guide on how spouses can apply for citizenship. If you would like that, contact us. Is this our last question? Yes, it is. So this one comes from Roast YC on YouTube. What would be the punishment and or restrictions for potential military conscription evaders? So I want to set some context for this one before I answer it, okay? Oh, you guys are really hanging in there with my voice. Antonella! Hello! Adrian, Miss Ali, Minobobo, Best Armies, King Alando, thank you so much for being here. So, last year, Croatia announced that they would be implementing mandatory military service for men between 18 and 30. The law has not been passed. I want to emphasize that strongly. It has not been passed yet. They have postponed and postponed and postponed and postponed. And I can only imagine that the reason they're postponing so much is because this is going to be a ginormous undertaking for the Croatian government to implement. All right? So, there's a draft proposal, and over the last 8, 9, 10 months, they've been dripping out information, and we still don't know everything. But even the stuff that they have announced, it's not final yet. And I really cannot give that disclaimer enough, all right? One of the recent updates they provided is an answer to this question. So I want to make sure I get this out there. But the reason that we haven't screamed about all of the stuff about this law from the mountaintops is because it's not final yet. And once it's final, then we will make a video here on social media, really breaking down everything you need to know. But in the meantime, That doesn't mean we're not tracking it. That doesn't mean you can't get information from us. We have an incredibly detailed guide on our website that goes over all of the current proposals, why they're doing it, what the law used to look like, everything that is currently known about this law. And it also includes all the open questions, so all the stuff that they have not answered yet. And a lot of those questions are questions we have, but they're also questions you have, questions that you guys have submitted to us, and we have been keeping a log of them. So we can get that to you if you want to see what is known. So let me get back to the question. Is there a punishment if you try to evade military service? Yes. If you evade service without a valid reason, there is going to be one of two consequences. One is you could be fined between 250 euros and 1,320 euros. The second possible consequence is police enforcement. What does police enforcement mean? Don't know. We don't know yet. That's just what they've announced. Now, I want to return to one more piece. I told you how the law is not published yet. Currently, the estimate of when this law is going to be published is going to be in October. If it actually happens in October, we don't know that yet. We'll see it when we see it, all right? But right now, that is when they estimate that this is going to be passed through Sabor and made into law. And it is enforced once it has been published in the National Gazette, which is called Narodne novine. And once a new law is published in Narodne novine, then they have to develop a rule book. A rule book is essentially a guide on how the government is supposed to interpret the law. So back in March, they published a new law on foreigners. There were a lot of extensive changes. We talked a lot about it here on our channel. And they also have to have rule books for that, on how they actually interpret these things. So the rule book could take up to 6 months after the law is published. So it's very possible that even police enforcement, we won't actually know what that is until we find out what the rule book says. But really, they can drip out information all they want, but in our experience, 12 years of experience of reading Croatian laws and following their lawmaking process, they can say stuff, but until it comes out in the law, it's not final, and there are all kinds of changes it could make in between that could be made between then and now. So, like I said, we have a guide. If you would like to see that, contact us. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are all the questions for today. Thank you for hanging in there with my distressing voice. If you are not here at the beginning of this episode, I want to recap the announcement that I made in brief. So, this is episode 196, and 1 month from today, we are going to hit our 200th episode. And we've decided that that's going to be the final episode of 5 Question Friday. And to honor 200 episodes of this live program that's come to you every single Friday for 5 years, we are going to throw a really big party in Split for our fans. And a bunch of the team from Expat in Croatia is going to be there. We're really excited to meet you. We're going to have food and drink and music and a lot of fun. So if you would like to come and join us in person, I hope you will, you are the very first people to know about this. We're going to put a post up in our feed a little bit later today, but you are the first people to know. And there are only a few spots available for this event because we're kind of dealing with, the capacity set by the government for the place that we're going to have it. So if you would like to join us, go to expatincroatia.com/RSVP. And you can reserve your spot to be at that party. It's free, and that's about it, guys. So thank you so much for being so loyal. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting this program for the last 5 years. It really means the world to me. It really, really does. So I'm not going to tear up again. I already did that at the beginning of this episode. But thank you again. So I'm going to go rest my voice now and drink some more lemon and ginger tea. And I'll be back here next Friday for the 197th episode of 5 Question Friday. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for being here, and have a great weekend. Vidimo se uko dandan. Ciao.